Hey everyone, welcome to the Fortress of Solitude podcast. I'm your host, Sergio Pereira, and today I am joined by Scooby-Doo himself, Jarrod Saunders.
Oh my god, I was just about to do a Scooby-Doo impression and I knew if I did it would be on the internet forever, so I stopped immediately.
Wow.
I stopped like heavy breaks right there, you know.
Shaggy. It's going to be amazing, yeah. Oh gosh. Jarrod, thanks again for joining me. Today we've got a very interesting episode. We were super lucky enough to watch a brand new Showmax documentary series called Devilsdorp. And it's actually about the Krugersdorp killings, like a murder spree that took place over a couple of years, like some odd murders that happened. I think it was early 2012, 2012, and then it was 2016. It was over a space of time.
Yeah.
And I mean, it goes even further back than that. I think there was a hell of a lot of stuff that was covered.
Yeah. But that's only the stuff that they did discover.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, the stuff that it did discover. And I'll be honest, like when it comes to documentaries, it's a bit hit and miss for me sometimes. I always find, with a lot of documentaries, obviously they've got to dramatize it and they've got to make it big and they've got to make it shocking. And, that's the point of it. Get the people reeled in. It's like true crime stories. You're like, oh, wow, see this. But with this show, this was one of the first documentaries that I binged everything an entire afternoon. I could not watch anything else. I just wanted to know what was happening. And I was familiar with some of these stories. I'd read about some of these stories, obviously online, News 24 when it gets released. But the way that everything was pieced together here, this was insane, man. This was completely insane.
Let me start by saying that this is the best thing that Showmax has made so far. Like, no offense to them, but this was like from the moment I put it on, I was like, oh my word, this is insane. They've actually done something on the level of Netflix or any of big international film company. Because it's really, really done well. Like every episode, you just want to know more. You want to know more. You want to know more about what is actually happening in this creepy town.
Yeah, it's the thing is, it's like it's so weird because, like I said, I remember these stories all coming out like over the years, and you'd read about it and you'd read some of the headlines, and some of the stuff didn't make sense when you're reading the headlines. You're like, what's going on here? This is insane. Like people talk about Satanism, people, then there's murder, then it's like real estate agents getting killed, then it's like, pastors getting killed, and you're like, what's going on here? It sounded like very random sort of murders, and you thought to yourself, well, it happens every day. Like, what's going on? Like, is this just a fascination with a town that's basically going on? But when the series actually puts everything together and shows, like, all these influences behind where all this stuff fits into a timeline, it blows your mind. It literally
for me, I went into it not knowing anything about it before. Like, I didn't read any of the news stuff or anything like that. So I watched the trailer. I saw the trailer. I was like, okay, I'm interested in this. And then as soon as I put it on, like they begin the story, telling some of the story, and you're already like, what the hell is this? Like, it's just the craziest. It's like something you couldn't make up. You couldn't make up the story. It's just insane.
Yeah, and I mean, the weirdest thing about it is that I remember at a certain stage, like, especially with all the murders, it was blamed on Satanism. Like that was like the main thing, and it got blamed on that, and the whole element of it. And I actually think as the whole thing starts to unravel, you start realizing that these people were like, well, the supposed alleged people behind it, like all this sort of stuff was actually, it was a really good con.
Yes,
with a lot of murder and like obviously elements, but it was a con job at the end of the day. A lot of these people were getting conned, in their lives because through like the eyes of religion, a lot of stuff was like, oh well, you know what. If you're a good Christian, you won't do that, and because people seem to like. There was one thing that was like quite deep that I thought was very interesting. What was said by one of the interview subjects was that no one questions anything about religion because most people, that is an area where they're not 100% certain. So you're almost too scared to question it. Or, oh no, that can't be true because what if it is?
Yeah. Look, you said something interesting. I'm still not sure whether these people weren't demon possessed. Like the walked out things that they did, and maybe they pretended in some parts of it, right?
Yeah.
But there's definitely something wrong with them. Like, these are not normal people. Like, normal people don't tell their kids to kill other people. That's not normal.
Yeah.
Normal people don't roll around on the floor and spit out blood and all of this weird stuff.
But I mean,
that was a con, right?
Yeah, that was a con.
I'll get it's a con, but a normal person won't even pretend to do something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and also the way they killed people, normal people wouldn't. Like, usually, even with serial killers, there's a pattern. And
it was quite brutal. Yeah.
These people just kill people for the heck of it sometimes.
I think what also was, like, for me, that stood out there was the fact that it reminded me a lot of the aspects of a cult.
Yes.
Because with a cult, a leader will promise you a certain promised land. Yeah. Like, if you do this, if you do this, if you do that, you're guaranteed, like, whatever, like riches, or you're guaranteed this, and that. And this is the same sort of pattern that I saw here, because some of the things, like, that we see were allegedly done, like, rather blindly.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's an aspect of, like, them faking stuff, but there's also a side to it where I'm like, I don't know that this lady didn't get sort of intertwined with Satanism somewhere along the line, or they mixed Satanism and Christianity in such a way that I don't know,
the lines or something. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I think that it's a very interesting, like the sequence of events. But what I find, like, super fascinating, and I mean, it kind of goes to show, the justice system of how long things take, and especially, like, how to get people on certain charges and stuff, because this took place, like, over a span of years, and there were certain key suspects that they had their eyes on, but they were never able to pin anything or whatever, and because evidence disappeared, and it's just to blow your mind that this thing was all deeper than just the surface level of what you saw was going on. There was a lot taking place. And that's what I think is just, it's crazy to actually see, like, this whole web that was constructed. And it's like, on this, like, street where there's, like, these, like, apartments or something, and everything was happening in, like, these apartments. It's like, it's insane to think about that.
And what the documentary does really well is it puts all this stuff together, and it tells you a story, right? Then it goes back in time and tells you the story again in a different angle. Then it takes you back again and tells you the story again, and even revealing more stuff as it goes along. But what I also really liked about it was the people that they interviewed, like the police officers and the specialists, the people who were involved in the case. They were all really, they told the story very well. That's usually something that South Africans are not very good at, is like, because we're not like Americans, no offense to Americans, but we don't, like, talk about our feelings openly and and our thoughts about certain things very openly. But these people, like, share their heart out in everything that happens.
No, for sure.
And I really like that, because you actually get insight into how the victims' parents feel, how the police officers, even police officers, feeling remorseful about some of the stuff that they did. I mean, that's insane to get that out of them.
No, I think it was in terms of getting some form of emotion, like to show what had happened. Because I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, I mean, there are victims at the end of this. This is the main thing. There are people who died, people who lost their lives, there are families who lost their lives. And I think the way that it was put together, like to actually tell the story, like a coherent story, to show us at every stage of how it led to the final events that we see. It was really done well. And I mean, it is heartbreaking, as you say. I mean, to see, like, I mean, obviously the family's breaking down. I mean, on any good day, like, if any of us lose a relative or lose a friend or lose someone, we are devastated. Now, imagine, you lose a relative to murder. And especially this sort of circumstance, when suddenly this, like, it's put together, it's painted out, and suddenly, it's like it's all out in the news. It's terrifying. And I think that's the thing. It's like, it shows, it's also very humane, the way that it shows what happened, and it shows the people, the victim side. And I think that's what's important with documentaries. Sometimes a lot of documentaries glamorize, like the killers and serial killers. That's why the likes like Ted Bundy and Charles Manson, they got people falling all over them. because they're like, it's like, it's the mystique, and it's like, it's the unknown, it's a bad boy sort of aspect, and it's like it's wrong, because at the end of the day, those people did something wrong, and you shouldn't be glamorizing them, because there are people who actually died and lost their lives because of people like Ted Bundy and Charles Manson, and I think that's what was done really well here. Like, it paid respect to the victims.
Yeah.
So I mean, for me, it was.
I have one critique about that though. There's one person that they interview throughout the story. It feels like they've hired her to basically tell the story. I don't know if you noticed that there's like one lady throughout the whole thing that it feels like she's reading. So she's like conveying the timeline to you throughout the thing, and she's speaking super fast, like she's.
I think I know. Yeah.
She's like, that person felt like a paid actress though, and I'm not sure if it's true. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying it's true, but that person felt like they needed somebody to tell go through the storyline, and that they used that person.
I think that person was a journalist, if I'm mistaken, as well, when you speak about. And I think that they were like running through the sequence of events. And I know it was very professional, very like, this happening. This is like, I know it was that sort of aspect. So I kind of liked it.
Yeah, but do you think that was a real person?
Yes, I do. I do think it was a real person. I do think it was a real person there, and I do think that one worked for me, to be honest. Like,
I know that, like, it works in the story because it just takes you from, takes you through everything that happened. But the person was speaking so fast.
Yeah, I get you.
Then I was like, is this person real?
I get you.
It doesn't take you out of the thing, though. It doesn't take you out of the story.
I think also, like, with these sort of shows, there are also going to be people that interview that you don't necessarily agree with. Like, even their viewpoint on the stuff that happened. Like, there was one or two people that they said certain things about my jaw was on the floor. I was like, what? But that's the beauty of it. I think it just shows like a full picture, and it kind of shows you, like, with a situation like this, it's always messy. It's always going to be like people who, like, they bring through the factual evidence. Other people react on emotion. There's other people that, react completely logical, in these sort of like instances. And I think that that's what was done really well. And as you say, this was just so pieced together. Like, I can't believe that this was such a good documentary series. I can't believe that America hasn't picked up on it yet. Like, this for me, like, it's on Showmax, and I think South Africans should be grateful that we're getting it first. But this is like HBO Max level, like, of stuff that you think.
It's a Showmax original, right?
Yeah, it is.
So that means they produced it and put it together, which is, hand of applause to them for this.
And to be honest, like, this now for me is the standard. Like, I don't want to see anything less than this. Like, this is what I'm saying to Showmax, please. Yeah. This is the standard now. You set this bar for yourself, so you've only got yourself to blame now.
But
it really is, it's such a terrific documentary series.
I also love the way they landed everything at the end, because usually with this stuff, at some point there's an ending, and then they just smack over like a bunch of text telling you how all these characters have dealt with life since then. But it did it nicely, the way it landed everything,
It did. It just nailed
the
it.
emotion,
But I also have a feeling that the people involved in this documentary series have also been watching a lot of the other ones that have been coming out lately, because it's got the same sort of beats, It starts off, but then it's like, it takes you back. Well, actually, you thought you knew this person, but this is who the person really was. And also, like, the way that they end off every episode with a hook. It just, when you get like, I can't stop watching now. You can't leave me hanging there. It's like, it's like perfect the way it does the drama of it, the aspect.
When they ended the first episode with the lead person, the person who instigated everything, and she shows up with like fangs,
yes,
like, as a vampire,
and you were like, "What's going on?" Yeah,
I was like, "What?"
Yeah, it's just
it's vampires.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like the way that they do it is just, it's done very, very well. Like the way that they actually manage to to draw you in, like to the next episode, that you don't want to look away. You're like, I can't look away now. Like you got me hooked. There goes my Sunday afternoon now.
Yeah.
You know, like it's gone. Like I'm giving it away because you invested in the story, and I just think the way it was put together
and the production quality also.
Oh, fantastic! It was absolutely fantastic.
I love the way they do this thing where they show a cross and then the camera like tilts to the side and it turns into a pentagram. I was like, oh my goodness, like it's like done so well. Like whoever put this together, like you did a good job.
But yeah, man, it was really cool, and I dig it. Everyone else, check it out as well. That's arriving, I think, on the 29th of July, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. So yeah, everyone else, check it out. And once you do, let us know what you thought about it. Okay, cool. And until next time, peace out, everyone.